Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We turn our focus now to football. Round 2 in the UEFA Champions League ended early on Wednesday with an additional 9 matches. SportsMax's feature game saw 6-time champions Liverpool welcoming debutant Bologna out of Italy to Anfield. Let's take a look now at the goals.
Deal of potential even at his tender years. Nunez. Bit of space for Salah. McAllister! All alone. Anfield erupts to the sound of a Champions League goal here again. And a first of the season for Alexis McAllister. It's he who starts the move as well. That exchange of passes in midfield. Nunez wide. Salah always kept his head up. And the run from McAllister, not tracked. The ball landing right on the boot. Contrasting one for Italian teams into winners. Milan losers though. Leverkusen. This is Salah. Almost Salah! It's brilliant! That is a terrific goal from Mo Salah. And Anfield rises once more to the sight of one of their modern greats. He's having a scintillating season, and that is a goal that matches the form. Something truly supreme from Mo Salah. Retrieving it in an area where Bologna perhaps felt they should have had him covered, and maybe they should. He's gone past Juan Miranda way too easily. But still, with so much work to do, how many times have we seen Mo Salah caress a ball with such perfection and power like that?
Arne Slot's first Champions League match at home in charge, and of course Liverpool walking away as 2-0 winners. Well, let's take a look now at the full results from day 2 of round 2. We have Girona. They lost to Feyenoord. Those own goals are a whole discussion for themselves. Atalanta beating Shakhtar Donetsk 3-0. Aston Villa 1-0 against Bayern Munich. Benfica 4 goals in the win against Atletico Madrid. A 2-2 draw between Dinamo Zagreb and Monaco. Lille a 1-0 win against La Liga's Real Madrid. Liverpool, as we told you, 2-0 winners. Juventus 3-2 against RB Leipzig. And Club Brugge 1-0 against Sturm Graz. Well, joining us now, our football analyst. You guessed right, Juan Arango. Good afternoon, Juan. How are you doing?
Doing good. Maybe a little bit better than Real Madrid. Maybe not as good as Liverpool. Maybe not close to seeing how high in the sky Aston Villa are right now.
Yeah, well, you gave me so many different things to respond to, but I think I'll start with the Real Madrid one, because even when I read the result just now, I was a bit stunned. As you know, the Liverpool game was live on SportsMax, so we were watching that in the office, then I had to rush to get ready for the show. But yeah, Real Madrid, they're the Champions League winners. When you think about the stats and the number of times that they've won this competition, I always say you can talk about Real Madrid faltering, but when it comes to the Champions League, you can't really talk about them in a negative way. What happened today, Juan?
Easy, they faltered. They play. I mean, Lille was just a better team. Lille just played better. They played against a team that I don't care if you win 14, 15 Champions Leagues, that there's still a need to go out and compete. And they competed. I shouldn't say that they didn't. The fact that they just didn't have a lot of ideas, a lot of players just seemed 1, 2, maybe even 3 gears less than they usually have been, especially in a Champions League situation. Yeah, and it does end up compromising you, because if you looked and you did the math at the beginning of this Champions League portion, you would have said, well, these are 3 points for Real Madrid. And now not having them, it forces them to start to see where the other 3 points are going to come from. And now saying, okay, you know what, maybe we're going to have a tough time getting into those top spots that are going to prevent us from going into a playoff situation. So that's when all of a sudden a lot of eyebrows are being raised. Keep in mind, Madrid played good enough this weekend against Atletico Madrid, and let's not even talk about Atletico Madrid and their performance. But when you talk about Madrid, let's say on that topic, it's again, when you don't come in 100%, everybody's gunning after you. You need to make sure that you are at the best level possible, because you will get beat, especially with a team that's up for you, that it's willing to compete and willing to get a good result, such as Lille.
Yeah, and they definitely did that. What did you make of the Aston Villa Bayern Munich result and how the teams went about their business?
That's a great one, because the last time that Bayern Munich were held scoreless in a match, you'd have to go back to the Klassiker back in late March. That's the last time they did not score a goal in any competition. So that really makes, and I think it's something like 42 Champions League initial group or league stage now, you'd say that they have not lost until today. And give a lot of credit to Unai Emery and how he was able to set things up. Am I saying that Bayern underestimated Villa? No, I'm just saying Villa went out and out-executed. And on top of that, you have, and I know some people will probably end up arguing with me, you do have in Villa maybe the best goalkeeper in the world in actuality, in Dibu Martinez. And on top of that, you have one of the best young scorers in the Premier League in John Duran, who's scoring a goal basically every 48 minutes every time he comes off the bench. So you have that impetus going forward. You have a solid enough team, and Bayern ended up not being solid enough themselves against a team that is coming into this tournament not only wanting to have a good impression, not just happy to be there, but also more importantly, as you see, of course, Prince Harry there cheering on, a team that wants to compete and get as deep as possible into this tournament.
Yeah, you know, just to emphasize the upset nature of that result, Juan, and you alluded to it earlier on when you spoke of Bayern Munich being held scoreless. Yeah. They had scored 21 goals in the 4 matches leading up to this, and the fact is that Aston Villa, as a defensive unit, have been the worst defensive team in the top 10 of the EPL at the moment. They've conceded 9 goals in the EPL, more than any other team in the top 10. So statistically going into the match, given Bayern Munich's proliferation of goals, you were expecting goals from Bayern Munich and expecting Aston Villa to have a difficult time keeping a clean sheet. So I think you are right. Unai Emery really did a job on Bayern Munich today.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I mean, Unai Emery is not a bad coach, and he's not a coach that's just going to sit back and just watch the goals just pile up. I mean, there had to be changes, there had to be adjustments made. But not only that, you also have to have a team that has struggled. I mean, and I use struggle in a context in which we're saying that, you know, Aston Villa of the past season and a half under Emery and what they've been able to do from an offensive standpoint, they too have kind of been a little bit sluggish on the offensive end as well. So today, to be able to get that goal, to get the goal from basically their super sub, ends up making it that much sweeter, I guess.
Yeah, he is definitely a super sub, no doubt about it, Juan. And yeah, another goal for him. I think that's 5 coming off the bench now in all competitions, the most of any player in any of Europe's top 5 leagues in the English Premier, well, any of Europe's top 5 leagues. But let's talk about Emiliano Martinez, because he was sensational. As much as we'll talk about the defense of Aston Villa, and yes, the goalkeeper is part of the defense, but Martinez was absolutely sensational for Aston Villa today, wasn't he?
And that's the reason why that's why the reason they're in the bottom 10 instead of the bottom 20 of the Premier League in terms of scoring. Because give one thing, during these last few matches in Premier League play I'm talking about, I mean, Aston Villa do concede a lot of opportunities. Aston Villa do have a lot of shots taken upon them. So for them to be where they're at, they have to count their lucky stars at the goalkeeper they have under the sticks for them, because if not, it would be much worse in terms of what they've had. So I mean, you have to take it from that perspective as well, because well, you know, they're one of the worst of the top 10. Yeah, but it could be much worse knowing that the goalkeeper that you're there has kind of been bailing you out on several occasions.
Yeah, let's talk about Liverpool now. McAllister with his first ever Champions League goal. Mo Salah on the score sheet as well. Liverpool, a 2-0 victory for them. How impressed were you with what they delivered today?
More than, this is one of those matches where the players that were being criticized the most over the last, I don't know, Ricardo, what, 2 weeks or so? Kind of ended up shutting a lot of people up. I'm talking about Dominic Szoboszlai. I'm talking about Gravenberch in terms of what they were able to perform in the middle of the field, being able to offer some balance, offer some support, offer that equilibrium that was necessary. And of course, obviously, everyone's looking at the highlights and looking at the Mo Salah goal, looking at Alexis McAllister and what he was able to do, and the occasional slaloming run by Luis Diaz over on the far side. But everything else that occurred, the ease with which Liverpool were able to attack and were able to not have that much pressure from a Bologna side that also didn't have a lot of answers, well, ends up being amplified even more by those two presences in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't seen one of those left-footed curlers coming from Mo Salah, but guess what? No African player has scored more goals in the UEFA Champions League than Mo Salah has, and it was a great way for him to do it today. Juan Giarango, as usual, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and we will chat again soon because there's so much football happening. One of these days, we're going to also invite you down and have you talk about schoolboy football from both Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago as well.
Well, I'm waiting for the ticket. To ask Mariah. Mariah's the one that pulls the strings. Tell her to do something about it.
You said that to him, and I just remember having this conversation with Juan where he wants to come to Jamaica. So you started it. Juan, I'll give you his number.
Yeah,
the only problem is not you guys. The only problem is Lance.
What does that mean?
You're the problem.
What?
Do I have to start telling stories?
Don't, please. I think it's time to go to break, Juan.
He's turning pink right now.
Bye, Juan. Have a great afternoon.
He was pink yesterday. Let's go to break.
He's matching his outfit from yesterday.